In the quiet village of Nkrumah, nestled within the verdant heart of the Gold Coast, a young boy named Kwame Nkrumah would sit under the sheltering branches of an ancient tree. The village around him was simple, yet full of life, its people grounded in traditions passed down through generations. But Nkrumah's mind was always elsewhere, filled with dreams that soared beyond the confines of his humble beginnings. As he listened to the elders' tales, he saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. Little did the villagers know, this curious and contemplative boy would one day lead them to freedom. Kwame Nkrumah's journey of learning took him far from Nkrumah, across the Atlantic to the hallowed halls of academia in the United States. Here, amidst the towering shelves of university libraries, he pored over books that expanded his mind and sharpened his resolve. In those pages, he found the voices of revolutionaries, the strategies of political thinkers, and the principles of justice. It was in these moments, as sunlight streamed through the windows, that Nkrumah's ideas of freedom and self-determination began to crystallize. He was no longer just a student. He was becoming the revolutionary leader Africa needed. Nkrumah returned to his homeland, but the Gold Coast he found was still shackled by colonial rule. Undeterred, he took a decisive step by founding the Convention People's Party. In a small, crowded room filled with eager faces and hopeful hearts, Nkrumah declared the fight for independence had begun. His voice was a clarion call, rallying the people with the cry of self-government now. From the markets to the villages, the message spread quickly. The people, long oppressed, found hope and strength in Nkrumah's words. The seed of revolution was planted, and the nation began to stir. The streets of Accra became the battlegrounds of a nation yearning for freedom. Led by Nkrumah, the people of the Gold Coast rose up in protest, their voices demanding independence. The colonial authorities responded with violence, but the people's resolve only grew stronger. In the midst of the turmoil, Nkrumah stood tall, his presence a beacon of hope. He urged the people to remain united, to stand firm in the face of oppression. The struggle was dangerous, but Nkrumah's leadership kept the spirit of resistance alive. The fight for freedom had become unstoppable. In 1950, the colonial powers tried to silence Kwame Nkrumah by imprisoning him, but even within the cold, dark walls of his cell, Nkrumah's influence continued to grow. Through letters and writings, he reached out to his people, his words fueling the flames of resistance. Outside, the people of the Gold Coast refused to give up. They sang songs of freedom in the streets. They marched. They demanded their leader's release. Nkrumah may have been in chains, but his spirit was free, and it inspired a nation to keep fighting. March 6, 1957. On this day, the dreams of a nation became reality. At the old polo grounds in Accra, a sea of people gathered, their hearts beating with anticipation. All eyes were on Kwame Nkrumah as he stepped forward to address the crowd. With a voice that resonated with the hopes of millions, he declared, "At long last, the battle has ended, and Ghana, our beloved country, is free forever." The crowd erupted in celebration. Fireworks lit up the night sky, and the Ghanaian flag, a symbol of newfound freedom, waved proudly. The Gold Coast was no more. Ghana had risen, and with it, the torch of African independence. But for Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's independence was just the beginning. He believed in a vision that extended beyond the borders of his homeland, a vision of a united Africa. Nkrumah traveled across the continent, meeting with leaders like Jomo Kenyatta, Patrice Lumumba, and Julius Nyerere. Together they discussed the future of a free Africa, united against the remnants of colonialism. In these meetings, Nkrumah's passion for Pan-Africanism was clear. He saw a future where African nations stood together as one, strong and independent, bound by a common destiny. The Organization of African Unity became the cornerstone of this dream, a symbol of the continent's collective strength. Kwame Nkrumah's journey was not without its trials. Overthrown in 1966 while abroad, he was forced into exile, his dream of a united Africa left unfinished. But even in his final years, far from his homeland, Nkrumah remained a visionary. He continued to write and speak, his mind ever focused on the future of Africa. As he gazed out from his study, reflecting on the past, Nkrumah knew that the struggle for freedom and unity was far from over. His legacy, however, was secure. He had lit the torch of independence, and future generations would carry it forward in pursuit of the united Africa he had always dreamed of. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more and drop a like.